I will, it's 1:30 and we have quite a rich 60 minutes ahead of us. So I will start without further ado. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, maybe even good morning to some of you. I cannot read all names. My name is Monica Canafoglia. I'm a legal officer at the UNCITRAL Secretariat, and I'm the master of ceremony for this launch event. I'm very happy to count on an opening from our director, Ms. Anna Jubanpret, although she made herself available very nicely. And then I will have with me my senior colleague, Caroline Nicholas, who's the head of the technical assistance section here at the UNCITRAL Secretariat. I also have the pleasure to have with me Athita Komindr, who's the head of our regional center, of UNCITRAL Regional Center for Asia and the Pacific. And last but not least, we are very happy to have with us the Alessia Messuti, who's the Learning Innovation Program Officer at the International Training Center of the International Labour Organization and the institution, the UN specialized agency that has helped us to set up the first online course for that UNCITRAL is going to have. Before starting, I leave the floor with a few questions for our invitees. I'm just going to give the floor to our director for a short introduction. Anna, the floor is to you.
Thank you very much, Monica. Thank you for giving me the floor and allowing me to welcome all the participants in this side event of our 54th Commission. I'm very glad that we can, at the margins of the Commission, also showcase the work the Secretariat is doing to make UNCITRAL's contribution to international trade law and UNCITRAL's text better known to a variety of stakeholders, because really we are targeting with these online modules not only researchers or students or academics in the area of international trade law, but I think first and foremost delegates from member states, participants from various ministries, various agencies in government, that need to have a better understanding, or that according to us should have a better understanding of what we do, and also to facilitate onboarding when you are receiving the portfolio of UNCITRAL and you're sitting somewhere in a ministry and suddenly you have to deal with UNCITRAL matters. These three modules, which are only but a start, will give you a better grasp, hopefully, of what we do, what our mandate is, how international trade law in UNCITRAL is different from what the WTO does, for example. So all these very important questions to be able to participate in UNCITRAL's work effectively are dealt with in these modules. So I'm very glad this was actually an idea that Monica came up with about 2 years ago, and she convinced all of us that this would be a great product. And then she introduced us to our colleagues from the ITCILO, the ILO Training Center in Turin. And it's not only because both of them are Italian that and should be congratulated for winning the European Cup, that the two of them have worked together in developing these modules, but it's also because the ITCILO has been a long-standing partner of UNCITRAL in matters of technical assistance and capacity building. So it gives me great pleasure to take part in the launch of these modules. Over to you, Monica, and let's launch.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, we are about to launch. It's going to be an historical moment, like the first Virgin trip yesterday by a private multimillionaire. Before that, I just would like to put everything in the context of technical assistance. So I am actually giving the floor for a few opening remarks or a few remarks on introduction to technical assistance to our senior colleague Caroline Nicholas. Caroline, if you can just present our TAP program.
Thank you very much, Monica. Thank you, Anna. Welcome to Alessia from the ILO Training Center. Hi, Athita. Hello, everybody. And as Anna said, it's a great pleasure to be able to introduce you to UNCITRAL via our online modules. And I'm very much aware that we have with us both Commission delegates who know UNCITRAL very well, and some people who are not from the Commission, who've joined us perhaps as completely new to UNCITRAL. So I'm just going to put a little bit of context into why we have these modules and why we do technical assistance to states. So as Anna mentioned, the whole purpose of UNCITRAL is to make it realistic to have a robust legal framework to facilitate international trade and development. And UNCITRAL's contribution is to prepare and promote the use of the various texts that we have. They're legislative, they're non-legislative, and they're in a number of key areas of commercial law. What Anna didn't mention, but some of you may not be aware, is how we prepare these texts. They're developed in our formal commission session, to which this is a side event, through working groups as well. And it's very much a consensus-based, inclusive and transparent process. So what UNCITRAL issues is template tools, if you like, that states and other users can use in their national systems to improve their framework for international trade, commercial law, in the sense that Anna described. And because they're developed through this process, where all countries, no matter what your legal background, tradition, what your state of economic development is, and so forth, everybody has the equal opportunity to contribute to the development of these texts. So they actually do work everywhere. And it's a very important aspect of UNCITRAL. And UNCITRAL's mandate is to harmonize, so that's to make international rules, the private law rules governing international business, as similar as they can be throughout the world, because that takes away legal obstacles to international trade. Why does this matter? It matters because if we can trade more, then we can enhance economic growth and development, and also, very importantly, social progress too. So this is about progress towards the SDGs. Now, the types of UNCITRAL texts that we have treaties, we have legislative texts like model laws, and non-legislative texts like the UNCITRAL arbitration rules, which are very well known, all have to be implemented in your national system. UNCITRAL's texts don't do anything unless they're just like books on a bookshelf until you implement them. So states have to take steps to accede to conventions, to enact national legislation, or to implement rules. And it's not just states, it's primarily states, but some organizations like the World Bank use UNCITRAL texts in their own law reform activities, and some arbitral institutions, for example, use the arbitration rules. And what this means, therefore, is that the UNCITRAL Secretariat assists states to help them get the most out of this process, because laws can be, legal drafting varies from country to country, the legal system into which texts are implemented varies. So there's a very big role in trying to make sure that whatever goes into a national country system works the way that UNCITRAL intended. So that's what the technical assistance section does. It's its day job. It helps states understand and adopt the texts. Now, the texts themselves are freely available on the UNCITRAL website, so people can use it without our support, but we encourage states to talk to us, because both we can help them understand things that might not be clear, and also they can bring any issues to us that will help us improve our texts. Now, traditionally, we do all this activity largely in person. We meet people, we do some desk-based gap analysis and legislative drafting, and traditionally we've always gone to discuss with people in face-to-face meetings. And while we've all seen in the last year or so that you can do a lot online, a lot of stuff is actually better done when you can sit and interact, dealing with people and understanding each other very well, because it's this meeting of minds that's so important. But we were not able to do a lot of our work, obviously, in person in the last year and a half now. And we have been trying to improve what we have on our website. We're trying to make our texts much more available and easy to understand for those who are new to them. And this is what the online modules that we're going to look at are really designed to do. It's to help people understand why our texts say what they do, why we do what we do. So this is all background information to help you use your texts, or they become your texts as well as you can. And we're looking at that in terms of building capacity to use them, and really improve what we have online, both for those who know UNCITRAL, and for particularly these first 3 modules we're going to look at for those who don't know us so well. And it explains, as Anna said, why we do things that are slightly different from the WTO. So thank you, Monica. That's all I wanted just to say, just a little bit of background for those who don't know us so well.
Thank you, Caroline. Actually, I think that your background was very useful to put the modules in context. And as we have already repeated several times, but we are actually happy. It's the first time ever that UNCITRAL and its Secretariat has actually put together such a comprehensive course, and actually it's also the first time that we are using the online medium. I would now start our little chat, our little conversation, asking Alessia to show us the platform, to show our participants how the platform will work. But before that, because Alessia, of course, is a professional in learning officer. The mandate of the ITCILO is actually training and building the capacity of experts and government officials, employers, trade unionists around the world. But I would like to ask Alessia also, what are the pros and the cons, the advantages and disadvantages of e-learning, based on your experience, of course, and maybe what's been the impact of the COVID pandemic on e-learning. And then if you can just have a quick snapshot on that, and then we can move to the platform. Thank you, Alessia.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you also to all the other colleagues for the warm welcome today and for inviting me to the launch of this platform. It was a pleasure to be part of this co-creation journey that led us, the 2 agencies, together to the launch and to the creation of this first introductory online course on the work and the role of the United Nations Commissions of International Trade Law. The Training Center of the ILO has been active in the field of online learning and technology-enhanced learning for the past 55 years. Therefore, we have quite an experience, and we have also experienced the evolution of the technological landscape for the past years. And specifically during the last year and a half, of course, we had to face an acceleration of online learning trends and modalities, methodologies, and tools. With regard to your question, Monica, on pros and cons of online learning, of course, online learning is a modality, and being a modality for delivering education has its own positive and negative aspects, which as a training agency we needed to be conscious about, and we also want to stress also when we are developing training packages with the partner organizations. Therefore, decoding and understanding the positive and negative aspects of online learning and digital learning help definitely institutions and organizations in creating online strategies for a more efficient delivery of interventions. I would say that among the, let's say, advantages, being staying on the positive side, I would say that with the experience we have, and also during the last year of crisis and pandemic, I would nominate efficiency and as one of the main advantage of online learning. Therefore, the opportunity to leverage on technologies that might already exist in context of in the work and context of our partners and final beneficiaries. Therefore, there is no need always to create new tools. Sometimes tools are already existing, and it's about creating creative online journeys that leverage on existing tools and on existing platform. Another advantage surely is accessibility of time and place of education. Therefore, the possibility of learning from anywhere instead of being restricted by geographical boundaries. Or additionally, you may agree that with the online education materials, lectures, and let's say files can be archived, can be recorded, can be shared for future reference. Another one is affordability and sustainability in terms of transportation, in terms of community, and in terms of creating paperless experiences. We have seen, for example, definitely an impact in increasing the reach out of our organization in terms of global reach out and global distribution, and of course a better impact also on the environmental sustainability of our center. And finally, last but not least, also the fact that this modality is also effective in adapting to a variety of learning styles, not only visual, not only auditory, but also sometimes practical and kinesthetic learning styles. If you may allow me to refer to latest trends in the field, such as, for example, virtual reality and augmented reality, which are accelerating a lot the potential for simulated learning, context-based learning. So these are definitely advantages. On the other hand, nothing is perfect. Of course, we have seen disadvantages and a lot of challenges faced, especially in the last year and a half. Some of them you may all agree, and I've experienced all of them, such as, for example, the inability to focus for a long time on a screen, the so-called webinar fatigue or the screen fatigue that we have all experienced. Of course, I empathize with that, even though I'm a technology enhanced learning expert and technology enthusiast. Another key challenge of online classes is connectivity as well. From one side, we have accessibility, but on the other side, we have to take into account that internet penetration has grown over the past year, but in certain areas of the world still remains a problem. And finally, sense of isolation. The fact that, of course, in online learning settings, we can create self-guided learning paths that are therefore affordable, efficient, and tailor-made, but also might lead to a sense of isolation in learners. So these are, let's say, the two faces of the same medal. I would say that in order to face all of these, we need to be aware of both challenges and opportunities, and it's very important for organizations to look at the so-called new normal by leveraging on the opportunities and also on the challenges that are provided by this modality, reducing as much as possible the challenges, as trying to look at what is already existing in terms of technology and in terms of content. Content curation might also help a lot when creating new learning opportunities in virtual setting from scratch, and investing a lot in the so-called hybrid learning journeys or blended learning journeys, which might become also more accessible than either fully virtual or fully face-to-face online learning opportunities. So this is how I would reply to your question, Monica. And then if you allow me, I would share my screen so that I can also showcase the final result of this co-creation journey. So being a partner in this in this co-creation journey, this introductory course is at the moment hosted on the ITCILO online learning platform, the e-campus of the training center, which is the virtual extension of the physical campus that we have here in Torino, Italy. On the platform, of course, we have a variety of courses that are either carried out by our organization or by in partnership with other agencies. The specific course that has been created, the introductory course that has been created in partnership with UNCITRAL, of course, is located in a specific URL that will be promoted, I guess, to the website and other channels of UNCITRAL. Therefore, learners will be redirected straight to this specific course platform. Once the link is provided, users and learners, interested candidates and applicants will be prompted to create an account if it's the first time on the platform, or to log in with their credentials. A registration is a recommended step and also compulsory step, because it will allow us to track the learning progress and also be able to download the digital certificate out of it. Therefore, I will just simulate the login so that we see this on the go. I have already created my account for this. And once the login credentials have been created, you will see that the course has been activated with an opportunity to self-register to the course. Therefore, in order to maximize the reach out as much as possible, learners could choose to enroll themselves in the course in a very practical and very quick and immediate way. Once clicking on the register button, the course page will be made available to learners, and minimum information is available through a quick menu that is provided at the top of the page. Not only the course material, but also a short about with background information with regard to the introduction, goal, and objectives of the course are provided, as well information regarding the certificate that is available at the end of the course. The course is also supported by a progress bar here on the right, a completion status, which reminds learners about the minimum activities and essential activities that need to be achieved in order to complete the online learning path. And this platform, as I said, is hosted on the ITCILO Training Center platform, and it has been designed in a way that is also fully accessible from a multi-device perspective, therefore fully compatible with mobile devices, and also accessible in terms of visual impairments. I will not go into the details of all the course, because of course I will let you register and enroll, but just mentioning that by clicking on any of these blocks, you will get access to the 3 modules that I've mentioned by colleagues, such as, for example, the first one, Introduction to Harmonized Commercial Law and its Relevance for Economic Development, which has a workload of 30 minutes. And by clicking on this block, you will have more information about the objectives. And there you will be prompted to start the module and therefore enter the interactive course, which is supported by interactive materials, interactive animation, and also a progress bar that allow learner to, let's say, complete the learning journey, interrupt it and retake it at the pace of individual learning. So this is let's say in a snapshot, what is the platform and how it entails the modular learning. The rest of the course is now kind of blocked and restricted, because we have built and designed this modular intervention in a way that is scaffolded. So each module is building on the previous one. So we are suggesting the learner to complete the modules in a specific order. Monica, over to you.
Thank you very much, Alessia, for your thoughts on pros and cons of e-learning, and for this quick snapshot, but very, very useful to the platform. to the eCampus and the course. Of course, the link to the eCampus page that is hosting the UNCITRAL course will be made very visible on the UNCITRAL website. And then, of course, we will also publicize it in various ways, including on our social media. Very quickly, I have questions also for Caroline on the issue of learning and for Athita. Caroline, so we've just viewed a little bit of the course structure of the modules, or how the web pages look like. How do you think that prospective UNCITRAL delegates and government representatives with UNCITRAL in their portfolio can benefit from an introduction to UNCITRAL?
Thanks, Monica. It's a very good question, because as we explained at the beginning, most people think of international trade law very much in WTO terms. And we have a not a state-to-state, but a substantive private business law angle. And so I think it's really important, if delegates are going to make the most of their status in UNCITRAL, and if they're going to be able to contribute most to the debate in UNCITRAL, they have a really good understanding of why UNCITRAL was set up, how it does its work, and what its benefits are. And so a course like this, which gives you a 360-degree overview of what UNCITRAL does and how it does it, and as we've seen, the three modules focus on what sort of law we do, how we do it, and how relevant it is for the SDGs. This gives you the flavour of, I would call it, if you like, why UNCITRAL. And so the course, the first one, for example, starts with a discussion of what we mean by harmonisation, what we mean by harmonising law, how the process has changed over the decades. UNCITRAL was established in 1966, you know, that's a long time now. And harmonisation law reform has changed. What other organisations are involved? Who do we work with? And so this helps to put UNCITRAL's work really into its international context. And very importantly, these modules, this is the first time we've pulled these various threads together and pulled them into one single training resource. And what we hope is that prospective delegates will really get a good introductory understanding of the decision-making process in UNCITRAL, particularly in Module 2, how it works, and what we mean by consensus, how that operates in working groups, because it's not the same in all parts of the UN. As UNCITRAL's definition of consensus, for example, really means nobody objects to the solution. It means we can all live with the solution. It might not be our ideal solution, but we can live with the solution. Now, that's not quite the same as consensus in some other places. And the reasons that we have that type of consensus are explained in this module and how important it is. It also has a broader reach. So for government officials who might not be participating in the sessions, but might be involved, for example, in helping prepare for the sessions by researching the issues and looking at the experience in the particular country. Others who might interact with us here in the Secretariat and understand what subjects we're looking at and why we're looking at them. And also, because it explains the support that we can give to countries that wish to implement our texts, it helps them identify where they may have needs and where to ask for assistance from us. And so that's the sort of technical reason for pulling these courses together, and how we think and we hope that they will benefit delegates and government representatives. But they're also aimed at a much broader audience. So for those who might be studying relevant parts of UNCITRAL and its work, so that it puts all of that in context. And as Alessia so rightly mentioned, our clients, for want of a better term, are all over the world. We can't travel all over the world, even if that's not a COVID thing, that's a resource thing, but it's made more challenging now. And so this is our way of being able to reach people where we wouldn't have the resources, or they wouldn't have the resources, that we can actually meet in person.
Thank you, Caroline. I think this really gives a very good explanation of how, why, and we think it's going to be extremely useful to have this type of course interaction, and also how we think it will benefit those who work with UNCITRAL, interact with UNCITRAL. And you mentioned, we do have, of course, we don't have the possibility to physically reach out to people around the world, but actually we do have one country office, if I can put it in UNCITRAL, in the UN jargon. And actually, they have a very good pulse of what's happening, on what happens in the Asia-Pacific region. So I actually would ask Athita, who's the head of the RCAP Center, if she can take what you've just said in general terms and with a broader overview, and actually contextualize it even further as far as Asia-Pacific is concerned. So Athita, my question for you is, what benefits do you think that stakeholders in the region where the center operates can get from an online course, based on your experience? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monica, Caroline, Alessia. Good to see you in person. Greetings to everyone from Incheon Republic of Korea, where the UNCITRAL Regional Center for Asia and the Pacific is located. In my view, I actually think that many benefits to the Asia-Pacific region would be almost universal with other regions, but the Asia-Pacific perspective is a focal point because UNCITRAL established its regional center here in 2012, specifically dedicated to providing technical assistance with respect to the adoption, use, and interpretation of UNCITRAL texts in the region, and also, of course, raising awareness of the work of UNCITRAL amongst existing as well as new stakeholders. The features and benefits of the online learning modules would perfectly complement the ongoing initiatives of the regional center, further facilitating legal harmonization of international trade and commercial law in the region. So maybe some examples would better illustrate my point. So for example, the introductory modules are presented in an interactive and plain language manner, which would help lay a solid foundation for all stakeholders, regardless of who they are. Government officials, legal experts, business representatives, academic students, all those people who are keen to learn more about specific UNCITRAL topics but have difficulties finding a starting point. So this would assist diverse stakeholders to join the UNCITRAL conversation or engage more meaningfully in ongoing UNCITRAL discussions on multiple levels, whether in working group deliberations, trade and business negotiations, international conferences, or academic pursuits. As Alessia had mentioned, the online learning modules are free of charge and allow users access anywhere, anytime, thus overcoming geographical limitations associated with traditional in-person learning. Now, my home country is Thailand, which, like most Asia-Pacific countries, does not have English as an official language. As the first generation of online modules is in English, these virtual materials enable and encourage self-paced learning by non-native English speakers in a comfortable environment of their own choice. This would be relevant, I think, not just for the Asia-Pacific region, but for all jurisdictions for which English is not the official language, in addition to providing this very practical mode of learning for users who favor interactive and flexible tools. And last but not least, I think that self-paced learning also benefits non-native UNCITRALese speakers, i.e. everyone. I include myself. I don't know if you guys consider yourselves fluent in UNCITRALese, but I don't think I am. I learn something new every day. And a subset of this group, of course, would be those non-lawyers interested in learning more about UNCITRAL, i.e. business sector representatives and others. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Athita. Yeah, I agree with you on what you said, and also, this UNCITRALese, on which, actually we have to thank Caroline for her, of course, UK mother tongue English, for refining the English here and there and make it, sound less UNCITRALese, but still we do have this jargon there, which I think is as you said, is useful for those who have to who deal with UNCITRAL. I do have one question. Maybe we can still try and have some Q&A at the end, because I can see there is some activity going on the chat. But before that, I have one question that is similar for the three of you, and I actually simply would like to get the different perspective. And the question is very simple. What do you think will be the future of e-learning? So I will first ask Alessia as our special guest, and then I will ask the same thing to you, Athita, and to Caroline, so you can give the perspective of the Secretariat and ARCAP. Alessia, over to you. What do you think will be the future of e-learning? You already introduced that a little bit in your previous answer.
Thank you. Well, this is a very broad question, and I could stay here for probably 1 hour or beyond that. I'll try to be concise. I must say that according to my experience in this field, which now has been an experience of about 10 years, so I've seen quite an evolution in the technological landscape. The past, present, and future of online learning is a maze of new methods and tools that continuously will evolve, and we will have to adapt to this. So we have from one side to stay positive and not to be scared about this transition, embrace this transformation, which will be at the core of any organization, not only in terms of learning, but also in terms of how we work and how we communicate, with using the new methods and tools, and try to focus on what really matters. Therefore, designing meaningful experience, leveraging on technologies, and try to address the needs of our constituents and learners' needs. The pandemic has definitely accelerated certain trends in the area of digital learning. We have seen it very closely here at the training center. For example, last year, new learning modalities such as virtual reality, virtual digital fairs have been implemented and now are becoming a scalable solution. Things that probably would not have been possible 2 or 3 years ago are now looking as very normal. I'm wearing here next to my computer, I'm having an Oculus device that allow me to participate sometimes in immersive and augmented meetings. This means that not only my face, but my full body can be present in a digital learning environment. And last but not least, it seems like a joke, but holograms are also coming to be part of our classrooms. And we have started experimenting with mixed reality as well. Mixed reality is when real and virtual collide and create a new digital environment. And to give you an example, you could participate, for example, in a meeting and using a 3D projection of your body, or alternatively, you could deliver a presentation using a 3D learning content, especially ones that are complex. So it seems like a joke, but it's becoming reality, and we are starting and looking at experimenting this in 2022. So the future looks quite dynamic. The future looks quite ever evolving. But I would say that then we don't have to forget that we have to focus on the needs of the learners, and depending on the context of each and every learning intervention, we will have to decide and choose which modality, which technology will be more suitable and more adapted, of course. So we don't have to think about virtual reality becoming the mainstream solution, but it might be one of the solutions that we can tap into very easily in the next months or year.
Thank you, Alessia. That's really, really intriguing. Caroline, for sure we're not going to use holograms and the 3D, whatever the technical name is, in the next future. But how do you think e-learning will blend with UNCITRAL technical assistance?
I think this is really exciting. I have to say, I'm not really sure I've quite understood what Alessia said, because I'm one of the older people here. But I think one of the things it's really teaching, what we're really learning, is that different people learn in different ways. And you were mentioning, Alessia, blended learning. And this is really what we're trying to focus on, because technical assistance involves three broad things. People have to understand what it is we're trying to achieve. They have to understand how to use our texts from a legal perspective, and then how to make them work in practice. Now, that's a long process. That's a big capacity building aspect. And there are certain basics that you can really learn best in a self-paced course. You can look at it, you can go back, you can go forward. And that gives you, if you like, the ground level that then allows us to reach into and explore things in more detail. So we are very much going to build on these initial three courses. Monica, I hope I'm not telling any secrets here, and have some more detailed subject matter courses available as soon as we can. I'm talking in a UN context here. Please don't think that means next week. But we are really working on trying to have more in-depth looks at different parts of UNCITRAL's area work. And so we've had the experience from the pandemic that a lot of just simple presentations that we might use to deliver in person, really these days, you can deliver a presentation from anywhere, and people in a conference are looking at you on a screen anyway. So we need to be, it offers us the opportunity to be much more effective with the use of our resources. And so for the online portion, we can do that very broadly. And I might just add here in parenthesis, there's a question in the chat, a very good one, whether this tool will be available to all regions, including Africa. Yes, it's available from your desk, free, no cost, wherever you are. And in the future, maybe we will have a regional target focus and looking at issues, but that's fairly well down the line, because we do need to look at subjects first. But to go back to what I was saying, it's so important to be able to be flexible and deliver where we really need to deliver things in person, and sit around a table and chat, to save our resources for doing that. And we want to keep adding more courses. We want to look at questions, common questions, as Athita was saying. What do we often get as common questions, and what are issues that we want to tackle, and help us update what we do and make it more relevant. So I'm really excited about this, I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Same question to you, Athita, again, from the perspective of the regional center. How do you see the future of e-learning from Incheon?
Thank you. Can I just say how excited I was to hear about augmented reality, and then immediately start imagining my UNCITRAL avatar who would speak fluent UNCITRALese, but I guess that's not going to happen, but at least not in the immediate next generation of our courses. But it's really excited to think about what all these futuristic tools could hold for the potential of learning. Now, just talking about, I guess, maybe the immediate future, from the regional center's experience organizing 60 virtual events this past year, audiences really welcome the existence of online events, specifically for those reasons that Caroline mentioned, accessibility, convenience, economy as well, of time as well as of other resources. And among the most common requests during those webinars, read from the chat box, of course, are, when will the recordings be made available? Or can we get the PowerPoints? So this really indicates that audiences are keen to access and revisit information at their own time and pace. So e-learning would provide users with that convenient, flexible accessibility. And I would also note that one of our most popular events, Caroline and I spoke in this event together, was an introduction to UNCITRAL webinar we organized in April with one of our other partners. So I think that this first generation of online learning modules focusing on the basics comes really at the perfect time. In addition, one of the regional center's flagship events is the UNCITRAL Asia-Pacific Day Academic Flagship Series, which aims to raise awareness of UNCITRAL instruments amongst law students. And the number of participants this year with virtual events has increased exponentially, jumping to 8,500 from last year's 1,000 attendance. And jurisdictional scope has also exploded to attract attendance, not just from Asia Pacific, but also from as far as Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean. So this shows, again, an increasingly keen interest in international commercial law and the work of UNCITRAL by our next generation of legal thinkers and policymakers. So this is just really exciting. And for us, I think, for the regional center, we think that e-learning offers an innovative and engaging approach to legal education that fortifies existing traditional modes. Can I end with a catchy quote? I'd love to end with a catchy quote. So to address the future of e-learning, which was the question, maybe we could look to wisdom from the past. So as George Whitman famously quipped, all the world is my school and all humanity is my teacher. So in this fast-changing, technologically innovative society that we live in, e-learning will be the next step in continuous education, including for stakeholders of UNCITRAL. Thank you.
Thank you, Athita. I like your pearl of wisdom at the end, your final statement. I still have a third question for the three of you, but before moving to that one, I would actually, and checking the time, I would actually open the floor for questions to any of our distinguished guests. Including, as I say, I've seen that there are several, as I said before, there is an activity going on in the chat. So please, if there are questions for Alessia, for Caroline, for Athita, it would be nice to get them now so that they can. Yes, we do have a question from, Pakistan Sikh. That's the name I can see on Zoom. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So quick question about the duration of the course and whether there are any costs associated with it. And secondly, does UNCITRAL have any short, medium, or long-term goals? So for instance, the broader objective is, of course, to raise awareness, which seems like a long-term goal. In some cases, so for instance, my center is working to have Pakistan adopt the UNCITRAL model on arbitration, right? So I was wondering if the course caters to that objective as well, in the sense that, it convinces parliamentarians of the importance of adopting that law. So I was wondering if there's any distinction in terms of the goals and the duration of the course. Thank you.
Caroline, would you like to take this anew as the head of the technical assistance?
Well, I'm actually thinking that these are really good questions, but in terms of, clearly there's no cost, and this is free courses, and the idea is to give everybody a grounding. And so our longer term goals are twofold, I think. First is taking these introductory online courses is viewed as a first step to more dedicated in-person, perhaps face-to-face capacity buildings in the future that will then, as I say, drill into subject areas in more detail. And the idea is to start building capacity to sort of speak UNCITRALese, as Athita put it, and learning how to do some of the basics in implementing UNCITRAL texts. And eventually, we would like to have a train the trainers type approach, because we're very small in the UNCITRAL Secretariat. And so this is really a building block, and as you quite rightly say, so this is a beginning phase, and this is why we also have a certification part of this, so that you can show you've taken the course, and that will then give you access to later courses and so forth. And we also hope to reach out to other members of the diplomatic community who have a passing, or maybe they have UNCITRAL as part of their portfolio, and we can update them using these sorts of tools. And I think also finally, just to say, that we are learning. We're learning a lot with our friends from the ILO Training Center about what works and what doesn't work. So our objective, I mean, ultimately, we'd love to see UNCITRAL becomes almost redundant because everybody's commercial law is harmonized and everybody understands everything perfectly and everything is perfectly and uniformly interpreted, but we're not really thinking that's going to happen anytime soon. So we will be adapting as circumstances develop, and maybe we will eventually be able to offer some more dedicated avatar-based online training at a more detailed level. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Next, I can see Ms. Shola Oshodijon. Please, floor is yours.
Good afternoon from Nigeria. My name is Shola Oshodijon. I'm the registrar of the Nigerian Institute of Arbitrators. We have over 5,000 members, arbitrators and mediators as members of our institute. First of all, I'd like to thank UNCITRAL and the Secretariat for putting this online training together. It's really something that is long overdue. In my institute, we have a course on UNCITRAL. And along the line, it's been a bit difficult putting together content to be sure that that course is really able to deal with a lot of issues that is handled by UNCITRAL. So I was thinking, is there a possibility for us as a national institute in Nigeria that has been here for 42 years to be able to work with the Asia-Pacific regional center that you have to provide some form of, training assistance for young lawyers to be young students in Nigeria and the West African region to tap into the work that UNCITRAL is doing currently, because we believe that catching them very young is a lot going to be better in terms of the work of UNCITRAL than unlike what it is right now. The awareness about UNCITRAL is very, very low back here in the West African sub-region. So we believe that if there is a way for us to partner or work with UNCITRAL, it will help a lot. Thank you.
Thank you to you. Athita, would you feel saying a few things on this? A quick statement based on your experience?
In response to Shola's questions, well, I'm just so glad that there's such keen interest in the online learning tools as well as the work of the regional center. I think that the benefits of e-learning is that it provides a really good starting point for those people interested in the work of UNCITRAL but not sure where to start, which I think captures some of the groups that Shola was mentioning, and as well as for those interested in a quick refresher of the basics. Maybe you used to work in UNCITRAL for government, you've been away from it for a while, you need a quick ABC refresher. And then when the second generation of more specific e-learning modules are launched, this would also work well for those already familiar with UNCITRAL who would be interested in learning more about the specific topics. I had mentioned before how our introduction to UNCITRAL webinar was one of the regional center's most popular events in terms of live participants this year. The other events were the introduction to UNCITRAL e-commerce instruments and also introduction to UNCITRAL arbitration and mediation texts. So that just shows that, there's a really keen interest in the basics from people less familiar with us, and then people who also want to learn more about specific topics. So, yeah.
Thank you, Athita, for sharing the experiences of the RCAP. We have about 5 minutes left. I have I can see two hands raised. One is our colleague Samira. I'm giving the floor to her. We haven't paid her for this, of course. It's not. It's of course a purely spontaneous question that Samira may have for any of us, I guess. Or for Alessia.
Yeah, in fact, I want to confirm that this was not definitely rehearsed. So my indeed statement is spontaneous. What I wanted to mention, first of all, thank you to all who was involved in this great tool, is the value of this tool also to our legislative activity, especially for preparatory and exploratory work. For example, to give you my experience and experience of our colleagues in organizing of a colloquium on civil asset tracing and recovery. We tried to reach out to a group of new experts, absolutely new to UNCITRAL. And if this tool would have been available at that time, it could have been promoted more focused discussion, because we would have made available this tool available to newcomers, experts who came to the colloquium with no idea of what UNCITRAL is doing, how it's doing, and they were making so many proposals. Many of them were good, but they didn't fit into the mandate of UNCITRAL and our methods of work. So definitely I see the value of this tool also for our legislative work, exploratory, preparatory, and for example, for organizing expert group meetings and colloquia. Maybe we should put on the web page of those events the link to this tool, so that newcomers, experts would be able to familiarize themselves before coming to our expert group meetings and colloquia. And for question to you, and I know that already is answer, and maybe that's why I'm putting it, in order to plead for more resources to keep this tool up to date. Yeah, of course it goes to the issue of financing, but it would be indeed, I know that it's at the basic level, but still it would be good to keep it accurate and comprehensive as regards the instruments that we are covering in UNCITRAL. Yeah, thank you very much. Great work. Thanks.
Thank you, Samira, for your comments. Still 5 minutes left, so I'm giving the floor to China. I cannot see the full name, and then we do have Mr. Ali Manrik, I think. China, Mr. Mrs. Yongui, the floor is yours. And I apologize, I cannot read the full name here in Zoom.
Thank you, Monica, for giving me the floor. Actually, it's not like I'm going to posing any questions, but I'd like to make some very simple remarks regarding the launch of the online course. First of all, China would like to express its very sincere congratulations on the launch of the online course, because we truly understand that you have been working very hard on it, and you have made great efforts by making the online course public to all stakeholders. We believe that you, the Secretariat, will help more people to better understand both the UNCITRAL and also the relevant business rules, and to promote the popularity and the application of the legal of UNCITRAL's legal instruments, and therefore it will help with the UNCITRAL's mandate of modernizing and harmonizing international trade laws. China would like to show its position of continue supporting this kind of projects, and we will also try our best to promote this project, the online course in China, so to benefit more and more bodies, including governmental bodies and institutions, other organizations, universities, and companies. Thank you.
Thank you for these comments, and especially for the promise to continue supporting the Secretariat and helping us promoting the course. We're really happy to, of course, to hear that. I will, before leaving the floor to either Caroline or our director, I knew there was a question from Mr. Ali Marik or Marike, but I don't no longer see the hands up.
Hi.
Oh,
sorry. I'm still here. Sorry, I lowered my hand when you recognized me.
And then sorry for the Mr., but I read Ali, and I.
No, a lot of people mistake me for a a man, so it's okay. It's nothing new for me. No, I'm from the Philippines, by the way. I'm from the Department of Justice, Office for Alternative Dispute Resolution, and our office was created by a law that entirely adopted the UNCITRAL model law. So this is a welcome development on our end, because I was in a meeting earlier and we were like actually aggressively looking for capacity building trainings and which are available online, which will help us in actually to in promoting mechanisms such as arbitration under the UNCITRAL modulo. So this is not really a comment, but more of a manifestation that my office is really looking forward to working with organizations like yours and the Ancestral RCAP. We actually wanted to thank Athita, because when we celebrated the passage of our law for Republic Act 9285 that institutionalized alternative dispute resolution in the Philippines, they sent us a message of support, and Anna as well. So we are really looking forward to collaborate with institutions like yours in order to promote arbitration and such other mechanisms in the public and private sector. So I hope events like this will happen in the future and will still be invited. We'll welcome the e-invite and will very much participate, and will for sure send your whatever materials you have to our partner organizations, because we also have our provider ADR provider organizations who practice arbitration as well within the UNCITRAL framework. So thank you very much for this, and thank you for inviting our office.
Thank you very much for your comments, and we're also eager to collaborate with you and with the other member states. And I will close it here. We'll leave the floor to Caroline and Anna. If they have any final remark. From my side, I would really like my heartfelt grazie. Thank you to Alessia for the patience with which she has taken our end step by step through this process that has been long and sometimes a bit painful. But thank you for your patience and the guidance. And thank you, of course, to our director, to Anna, for trusting the idea and the project, to Caroline, for support, not just the English editorial support. It's been a good exchange of views and minds and cross-checking and everything else. And thank you, Athita and RCAP, for working so hard on one of the modules that are there, on module 2, they're giving us the script, which is, I understand you were the first one to go. And that being said, thanking you all for participating in the launch. Caroline, over to you, and then over to Anna.
Thank you. I think, Monica, you've said it all. It's been a really great experience for us, and we've learned a lot, and we're so pleased to be able to pass the benefits of what we've learned on to this broader audience. So I just want to thank everybody. Thank you for your patience in joining us this afternoon. And there's a question about wanting to promote this initiative. Please, this is a publicly available course. Share it, tell everybody about it. So the more that take it, the better that we will be. So thank you very much. I think with that, Anna, I think Anna maybe has had to run back to the formal commission session, which is just about to start again. So I think we can safely say thank you and good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everybody. And we look forward to seeing your names on the certificate at the end of the course. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.